Hello everyone, and welcome back to Jurassic World Evolution 2. This is Jurassic Difficulty Germany Part 4. In this episode, we're going to officially get the park to 3 stars. By the end of the episode, we're at about 3.5 stars, but we have a lot of the park built up so that by next episode we should very easily get to 4 stars and we'll be in really good shape to get to 5 stars. Once again, it looks like we're about to start this episode off with a thunderstorm as well as a scientist demands better treatment event. At this point, we're actually doing extremely well on money, so I would rather have the scientists all be rested. But here is the storm. So, not too bad, just some repairs that need to be made. Pretty easy overall. So now I'm going to shift my focus to researching some high appeal dinosaurs. So we need to release a few more Plesiosaurus so that we can unlock the Tylosaurus, which is a huge appeal monster for challenge mode. And then once we release a Tylosaurus, we can research the Mosasaurus, which is even better. And then I've been told that the Therizinosaurus, which comes from the Dominion DLC, has a crazy ton of appeal, and you can put a whole bunch of them in an enclosure, and it is classified as a herbivore despite being a scary, mean dinosaur. So we are going to most likely round out our roster with Tylosaurus, Mosasaurus, and Therizinosaurus on our species list. Getting the Mosasaurus unlocked is pretty straightforward, but getting Therizinosaurus unlocked requires researching the entire tree of armored dinosaurs. So by the end of the video, I think I've researched all of the armored dinosaurs except for Therizinosaurus, which I wouldn't really call that an armored dinosaur, but I have to research all of them to get there. And you also need a ton of the research scientist points, so about halfway through the video you'll see I let go of a few scientists to hire some scientists with better overall scores. Another thing you will see me do a lot is check on the management views, and like I alluded to in the last episode, we need to move that viewing tower. It's too far away from everything else. So I moved it over here in this new area of the park, and it ends up working out really well. It's right by a bunch of our amenities, and it's right by the monorail, so all the scores work out really well. But there's actually several moments in this episode where I deconstruct a lot of our existing buildings or move them around to better suit the flow of the park. Here is another example. We just need a little more shelter coverage, and I have lots of room there, so I decided to throw down an additional emergency shelter for the guests. Alright, so like I mentioned earlier, we need to release a few more Plesiosaurus in order to even research the Tylosaurus, and I finally had enough scientists available to do so. I actually get really lucky with this batch, and a lot of the Plesiosaurus have positive traits, or they don't have any negative traits anyway. And then here we're doing the very important step of researching the large amenities so that I can phase out the smaller amenities where I can. So look here, we finally got a big batch of Plesiosaurus without any negative traits, so I released all 3 of the ones without any negative traits here. Alright, time for a little bit of a sped up expansion of the park. So by the end of this episode we will have our Mosasaurus tank built, but we don't have the Mosasaurus in it. And then you will also see that we have 2 giant paddocks that I'm probably just going to fill with Therizinosaurus. We'll see how that works. But we also need to expand the facilities to accommodate all of these new dinosaurs that we're going to have. Here I'm just researching more dinosaurs to get the Therizinosaurus unlocked, and next we are about to release our 3 Plesiosaurus. Alright, so it looks like the enclosure is big enough for that amount of Plesiosaurus. You can also see that for the most part, at this point, is because I have the MVUs auto-assigned, taking care of diseases is actually way easier for the most part, not always, but for the most part in this game, than Jurassic World Evolution 1. Here I just took direct control to help get the vehicle there a little faster. But once you have the MVUs assigned to your ranger outposts, they tend to take care of the diseases pretty well on their own, which is really nice. Next, it's time to build the Mosasaur tank, which, unless something has changed, needs to be at least 5 links of lagoon, and we have exactly 5. And so I'm just going to spend a little time making sure there's enough room for the hatchery and a viewing platform, because remember, the lagoon viewing station does not attract the type of guest on the Germany map. Right here, I'm just releasing another Amargasaurus, just because we can, why not? Alright, so this is going to take several expeditions, but this is the beginning of our expedition for the Tylosaurus. Like I said earlier, money isn't that big of a problem right now, so I think I just paid the money to get the fossils here on time. Here it looks like I ran out of power, so I just put down another power station. I could research better power output, and maybe we'll do that later, but for now it's a little easier to just put another power station down. Alright, so here it looks like we're replacing our medium amenities with large amenities near the entrance. This is something with the game that can be a little difficult to fiddle around with, because your star rating is directly tied to your profits, and the amenities and their overall placement are the primary generator of your profits. So I just spent quite a bit of time rearranging this entrance area to optimize our amenity placement. Here's our first batch of Tylosaurus fossils. I'm pretty sure this takes 3 expeditions to complete. And then I also noticed that I'm going to need better scientist skills to research the Pentaceratops, and once again that's on the road to getting Therizinosaurus. So I believe this is when I realized I needed to maybe let some scientists go to get some better scientists as well. So here I'm expanding that initial enclosure with the Struthiomimus, Nasutoceratops, and Apatosaurus because I want to build a gyrosphere ride, because that attracts the, let's see, I think it's the luxury guests, which are on the Germany map. And also I just wanted to make the enclosure larger so I could fit more dinosaurs in there. I think I just incubated 4 Nasutoceratops, and I think I also put in some more Apatosaurus. By the end of this episode, our first batch of the Struthiomimus start to die from old age. So I'm actually planning on eventually fully replacing the Struthiomimus since their appeal number is pretty low. And I was looking for a herbivore that only eats ground leaf, because the Nasutoceratops has ground leaf and the Apatosaurus has tall leaf. So I wanted something that also only needs ground leaf, and from what I saw, I think that's going to be the Polacanthus is one of our best options, if I remember correctly. So here's another Tylosaurus expedition. We're getting very close, but remember on the Germany map, we can't incubate anything until they have 100% genome. Okay, so here we're replacing a couple of our scientists with ones that have better overall skills. At this point in the game, the money we're making is making, you know, the cost of the scientists not too big of a concern. So I went ahead and picked 2 scientists with much better overall skills than the 2 that I replaced them with. Looks like here we're just planning ahead and making sure that we will have a viewing platform in place for the Mosasaurus exhibit once it happens, but the Mosasaurus unfortunately won't be in this episode. That will be next time. Okay, we're barely at not quite at 100% for the Tylosaurus. We'll have to do one more at fossil extraction, but we are almost there. Here I'm just messing around with our amenities again. I think I got rid of those 3 medium amenities and I move the 3 large ones from up top up there. I think I move those down to that main pathway area. And I think that overall results in some better coverage, but toward the end of the episode we have so much appeal in this area of the park that I think I rebuild those 3 large amenities up top as well. Alright, it looks like Tylosaurus is about to be at 100%, and then I realize that even with my new scientists, we're just like 1 skill point short of researching Pentaceratops. So I think instead I use our logistics skills to research more scientist training to fix that. Alright, it's finally time to incubate the Tylosaurus, so thankfully I had enough skill points to incubate one. Now that I have a bit better amenity coverage, since we have those large amenities, I don't think I need those 3 mediums up there, so I got rid of those. Then I think I spent a minute looking at our scientists' skill points just to make sure that I was going to have enough once the training is unlocked, and I think we do. But then after that we have another storm on the way. Thankfully it seems like tornadoes don't happen on the Germany map, so it's mainly just locking the park down and fixing any broken fences, and there's no carnivores, so it's not too hard to keep the herbivores in their enclosures.
Please proceed to cover.
So another storm survived, and it's time to incubate our first Tylosaurus. I chose the antisocial one because the aggressive one looked like it wouldn't tolerate the Plesiosaurus in the enclosure, and I have had Tylosaurus kill Plesiosaurus in a previous on my Canada playthrough. So, so far I actually haven't had any problems with the intolerant one. It was the aggressive trait that I think was possibly the problem. So we finally have enough points to research the Pentaceratops, and that will leave us with the Therizinosaurus to research in the next episode. So like I mentioned before, we have this giant paddock up at the top of the island. Oh, I guess this isn't maybe technically an island, I'm not really sure. But this is where we're going to put a bunch of Therizinosaurus in the next episode, and you'll see I divide it into two halves, and we'll have a gyrosphere ride that goes through there. And now it's time to release our first Tylosaurus. So I kept a close eye on this one for a while, but it looks like the 6-link lagoon is plenty big, even with the several Plesiosaurus in there. And I have enough fish feeders around the lagoon that it doesn't seem to be willing or wanting to attack the Plesiosaurus. I haven't had any problems with the Tylosaurus attacking Plesiosaurus so far. Here we're just researching the large hotels. We'll probably need those at some point. And then, yeah, looks like I rebuilt those 3 large amenities at the top. Even if we don't need them right now, we will definitely need them once we get the Mosasaurus and the Therizinosaurus up there. Here I'm just replacing a small hotel with a large one, and it actually provides better visibility for that enclosure over there as well. And at some point, I missed it, but I did research the Mosasaurus, and this is our first expedition to get Mosasaurus fossils. And with that, that concludes episode 4. We are making good progress. We're not quite at 4 stars yet, but we're very close. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you next time.